Welcome to Resilient Minds 365, where we discuss the resilient stories of entrepreneurs, professionals, and students with mental illnesses to encourage you to strive, thrive, and live in abundance. I'm your host, Cleoni Crawford. Welcome to Resilient Minds 365, where we discuss the resilient stories of entrepreneurs, professionals, and students with mental illnesses to encourage you to strive, thrive, and live in abundance. I'm your host, Cleoni Crawford. Well, guys, we are back and we have a great episode ahead of us. We have our special guest for today is Orestis Vasilakis. Who is Orestis? Well, Orestis is a certified hypnotherapist with a passion for helping individuals conquer chronic pain and enhance their overall well-being. Before diving into the realm of hypnotherapy, Orestis was a theoretical physicist in academia. His personal journey has been marked by the challenges of chronic pain stemming from fibromyalgia, diagnosis, and various orthopedic injuries. It's been a journey filled with ups and downs. They're requiring ample doses of luck and experimentation to reach where they stand today. His mission is to speed and ease this process for others, guiding them towards their mindset shifts necessary to break free from pain and elevate their quality of life. Orestes firmly believes in empowering individuals with knowledge about their options and facilitating a clear-headed approach to decision-making and transformation. If this resonates with you, check out their links and connect with Orestes today. So with that said, I want to introduce to you Orestes to our audience. How are you doing, Orestes?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Cleoni. Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you.
No problem. So, Orestes, tell us a bit more about your profession. What do you do? How did you get started? And yeah.
Actually, this period, I help people overcome chronic pain through methods that come from neuroplasticity, hypnotherapy, NLP, through various tools. And I got started in it because, I had my own chronic pain issues in the past from fibromyalgia and like several orthopedic injuries and surgeries. And at some point, I felt I had to find my own solutions. I kept going to the doctors and I was not getting answers, or the answers I was getting were not helping me anymore. They have already helped me. And this progressively made me look in different paths that were less conventional.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and like I got into it from this motivation, and progressively I started reading about it and learning more about it, and I got fascinated. I got really fascinated by what makes the human experience, because pain is an experience we feel in our bodies. So yeah, I got into it more and more, and then I was like, okay, like look, I have these tools, I can help people with them. So yeah, here I am. Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much for telling us about your journey. I appreciate that and your profession. So what we're going to do now, we're going to switch now into the mental health diagnosis part of this interview.
Mhm.
So what is your mental health diagnosis and when were you diagnosed?
um like my diagnosis is fibromyalgia. It's not
Okay.
exactly a mental health diagnosis by itself. Uh, Yet, on the other hand, it overlaps with many other um, mental issues and can cause mental issues because of the continuing pain, and it can create anxiety, depression. So I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in around 2016.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, I was diagnosed a bit like, I don't want to say by accident, but without expecting it, you know.
Okay.
It's a funny story because initially when I started having these pains and all that, I was living in the US, and the doctors there couldn't give me answers. I was still checking stuff, and then I moved countries. I changed countries because of my work, my previous work in theoretical physics, and then I couldn't find any new specialist in the new countries, and I stayed with the pain, and then I went to pain management for another issue, for an orthopedic issue, and I told them like, look, I also have this and I have done that, and they were like, oh yes, like if you've checked everything and that, yeah, it's fibromyalgia. That's how I was diagnosed. It's a bit yeah yeah
Oh,
and yeah, and I think like, and uh I had to visit a psychiatrist um to deal with all the emotions and all the anxiety and the mood that fibromyalgia was causing and the constant pain was causing. Yeah.
right.
So
Okay, okay, cool. So
yeah.
tell us a bit more about your mental health story of resilience. What did you have to overcome? How did you overcome? And how is it that you are now in this space right now?
Ooh. Yeah, that was a journey, you
Yeah.
know. Like, I mean, people see me the way I'm now in the podcast, the people who watch and listen. But I was in a really bad place, exactly because I was not getting answers and the pain was continuing,
Mhm.
and I was not understanding what's going on with me, and no one was giving me answers. And it's a common story with many people who have fibromyalgia or other chronic illnesses or generally chronic pain. And yeah, I had like a lot of negative thinking. I like feeling that I cannot plan my life, that I cannot see forward in the future, and I was in a place filled with fear and anxiety and stress,
Mhm.
because I didn't know what was going on, and of course, all these emotions were making the fibromyalgia symptoms even worse, the pain, the fatigue, the mind fog, which in turn was creating more of these emotions. So it was like I was like in a negative feedback loop with myself. So yeah, yeah, and well, I think what helped me back then to start coming out of it
Mhm.
was that I I really felt I needed to come out of it. It was like something from inside me. Like despite all this, I felt I needed to do something, and I reached the point because this has become too much. I would have a flare up every something like every 10 days, every 2 weeks, something like that, and it will and every basically 2 weeks I would be 5 days off
Wow.
completely. Yeah, it was it was really bad. It was really really bad, and yeah, I decided to seek help, more in the psychology realm, because before that I was seeing it more as a body issue and seeking answers from doctors and all these things.
Mhm.
And yeah, there I visited various specialists, and it was a bit like trial and error. Like I was getting a bit from someone, a bit from someone else. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, but progressively the bricks started coming into place. Um, and yeah, like at some point I was taking 5 different psychiatric medications. It was a cocktail.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and uh, yeah, progressively I started getting more into the idea in me started growing that, oh look, this is really affected by my mentality, by the way I think, and I can start having a control over it by adjusting the way I think, which of course it was more difficult than it sounds, because I really had to go an an old way that I was perceiving myself. And this had its own grief in it. Yeah, that was a difficult part too. But yeah, eventually I went down this path and I kept doing it more and more with persistence. And I studied hypnotherapy, NLP. I went, I saw a few different specialists, and yeah, and I'm here today. And just we are here, I want to say that, like, even today, sometimes, some days, I still have flare-ups. Okay, it's normal for me. And but now when it happens, first of all, it's not very frequent. And also I'm taking only one medication now, which I'm also reducing. And when it happens, I am aware. I'm able to converse with myself and understand why it happens, and then essentially switch it off much faster and go back to my daily activities much faster than before, that I felt I had no control over it. So
Right.
now I know when it happens, why it happens when it happens, and I just basically say to myself, okay, I understand I did that. I exhibited a behavior that caused it. So I'm sorry. Can you please take back the pain and the fatigue now, because I need to do some things in my day? And yeah, this works for me and for other people too. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for sharing. So
Yeah.
I have another question for you. So
Okay.
what did you have to do to overcome, excuse me, sorry.
It's okay.
What did you have to do to overcome or bounce back from your low points? List all the resources.
Oh yeah, what I had to overcome. Well, again, it was a lot of my own fears and taboos. There, I grew up in a culture and in an age where mental health was a taboo.
Yes.
So the idea that you need some help from a psychologist, um, basically, meant immediately that, oh, you must have some serious issue.
Yeah.
But and I'm glad we are not there anymore. I'm glad we are not there anymore. So yeah, so I had to address basically these taboos and some of my own fears. That, as I said, like that I had to let go a past version of myself that was not working anymore. So it's like the fear of the idea of identity, right? If I let go of this, who am I?
Right.
Yeah, so that was like personally a lot of the things that like now in retrospect I realize, back then it was not clear to me that these were the things. So
Right.
if for other people are not clear, it totally makes sense. But in retrospect, I can tell you that these are some of the things that go on. And again, yeah, like eventually I got help from cognitive behavioral therapy, um, from psychiatric medication, as I said before,
Mhm.
and from hypnotherapy, together combined with my own interest to learn more along this path and improve myself. Because in these things is very important that we are active participants,
Right.
because sometimes illness and chronic pain puts us in a passive mode that we expect someone to solve the problem for us. I mean, that's why we go to doctors,
Exactly.
right? But when this stops giving us answers, it's us that we have to take action. So it was essentially consistently taking action on these things, on finding an answer and for improving it. Yeah.
Okay. So my next question for you is, what are 3 things you wish you had available when you were at your lowest point?
Whoa. Yeah. Well, 3 things. Okay, let me see. Well, first of all, I wish I had doctors, medical doctors, and therapists who were better equipped in giving me perspective. So, and I noticed this with many people who have like chronic pain. What essentially they miss is perspective,
Yeah,
because you go to the doctor and the doctor says, "Oh, it's just arthritis. Take this." Or oh, your exams are normal. Yeah, you're in pain. I understand. Your exams are normal. Take this. Uh, uh, but this doesn't have a perspective. Doesn't have a future you can look forward.
yeah,
And having a future that you look forward to is very important in taking the actions, as in my case, that will allow you to overcome this. So I think this was missing from me a lot, and that was part of the trial and error that I found along the way, and took me a long time myself. Because again, like chronic pain and illness puts us in this protective state, that we want to be taken care of, and we don't want to see in our lives past our problem until our problem is resolved, and then we stay in this loop. So I wish I had perspective. Another thing, I back then, like in 2000, when this started for me in around 2010, there wasn't so much information. At least I didn't notice it. Maybe it was okay. There wasn't so much information available to me about methods uh, that have to do with the power of the mind,
hmm,
in the way this affects the body experience. What in our days we call somatic. We call somatic psychotherapy. Back then, there was this divide that for the body, you go to the doctor. For a mental issue, you go to the psychologist or the psychiatrist. And so that was like part of the gap that took me so long to bridge, because I have pain. How? Why would I need to see uh, a mental health professional for this?
right.
So I wish I had this perspective back then, and I'm so happy people talk about it these days more and more, and it's getting more and more recognized. Um, yeah. So 2 and 3, I wish, like, again, like I had more friends and colleagues with more awareness. A lot of people helped me,
Hmm.
and a lot of people supported me. But at the same time, I feel that it was also like, um, some other people, it was not clear to them how to handle this in a workspace, and the fact that I was not feeling well and I had in pain, that it made me feel uncomfortable. So, and of course, all these 3 things create their own mix, where you don't understand when someone doesn't understand what's going on with them, then they cannot communicate it to other people. So, and then of course other people don't know how to respond, both because they don't have some awareness themselves in general, but also because you don't know how to communicate something. And this creates its own, like, self-contained problem that perpetuates. And yeah, so I wish I had this thing: more awareness, more perspective, and more access about how the mind can affect our body. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And my next question to you is, what words of hope can you give to our listeners, someone who's going through my fibromyalgia and
Yeah.
anxiety and depression and just experiencing what you had to experience? What would you tell someone?
Well, I want to say that our sense of reality is malleable. our sense of reality is not fixed, is not constant. So wherever you are, person who listens to us at this very moment, wherever you are in your life and in the way you are feeling, whether it is chronic pain or something else, and I want you to know, I want people to know that there is life and light beyond the maze they may currently uh, maybe feeling they are trapped in.
Mhm.
Perhaps they have another metaphor in their mind. Perhaps it's not a maze, it's a closed room, but there are things beyond where we are currently at, even if we cannot notice them, even if we cannot see them. And having hope in guiding ourselves there, it's very important in taking the actions that are necessary to, even if we don't have a clear picture yet, even if we cannot see where we are going, having hope that we can go somewhere is what motivates us to take the actions that are necessary. So, and like our most important actions are basically what gives us experiences, because experiences is essentially what informs our mind with new data, with new information, and progressively changes it. And it makes the mind update itself with new information, because that's how the mind works. It adapts to information from the outside. So I would say that if someone is not feeling well and they feel they are in a difficult place, uh, they should in a moment they feel well, when they have some moment of clarity, they should decide a thing they can do and want to do the moment they may not feel so good, and
Okay.
then go for it. Because this decided in advance, and in this moment where they feel like not so good, this can give them some new data, some new information. And that's the way also partially like exercise works. When they say go and walk,
Right.
of course this doesn't work for some people, but you go have a different experience, which if it's pleasant for you, if you go walk in nature, that nature is soothing and calming, this changes how one perceives the experience of pain or whatever is going on. So yeah, I would say go have different experiences, whether it's learning, whether it's walking, meeting with friends, that update your mind about what's going on and help you shift your sense of reality.
Cool.
That's all. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so very much. So,
Oh, thank you so much, Cleoni.
no problem. So now we are going to take a switch in the interview.
Okay.
As you can see, to the right of me, there is a book that says The Music of My Life. And basically, what that is about my journey with bipolar disorder and music therapy. So, my question to you is, what type of music do you like?
What type of music I like? Well, I like Greek music. I'm from Greece and I like a lot of Greek music.
Okay.
Um, um, and I also like music from various ethnic backgrounds. So I like some music from Latin America, some music from Mexico. Um, yeah, I like and music from various ethnic backgrounds. That's the music I like the most.
Awesome. Cool. So, with that
Yeah.
said, if you were to think of a song that best describes your journey, what would it be and why?
Oh, if I have to think of a song that best describes my journey,
Yes.
you know what? I don't think I have a song that that best describes my journey, to be honest.
No problem. What is your
uh,
favorite? Do you have a favorite song?
a favorite song. Um, on top of my mind, if I would pick. Yeah, it's a Greek song. It's
Okay.
a Greek song by an artist called Thanasis Papakonstantinou,
Okay.
uh, and it's called Pehlivanis. I can give the link.
What is the translation?
Uh, it's a word that's not common,
Oh,
And I think it refers to very hot air.
very hot air. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
It's like it says like one day will come from the mountain, wind Pehlivanis. And then it goes through a lot of metaphors and very poetic language, and it's very emotional. It's very evocative. I really like this song. It's actually a very popular. It's quite a popular song in Greece too. Many people like.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so Orestes, so how can we stay in touch with you? What are your social media handles?
My social media handles. Yes, of course. So, I mean, they will be also in the description. There
Yes.
is a link tree, Orestis V, and I also have a Facebook group about helping people with to overcome chronic pain. It's called Pain Peacemakers. If you put in Facebook and search for groups Pain Peacemakers, you will find it. And yeah, that's these are the two best ways to find me and reach out to me. The group is free. There is no cost to enter the group at all. It's free. It's to inform people and make people actually help people make the the mind shifts that will allow them to overcome chronic pain that myself took me so long to do by accident.
No worries.
So yeah, yeah,
Cool.
that's
Do you have any final words?
any final words. Well, yeah, my final words is that I want to thank everyone for their attention and you, Cleoni, for having me. And together with that, I want to say that another thing you can try is that if something feels a bit difficult, you can just put yourself in neutral and just put it on the side, just like literally, like find where you feel it on your body and just take it out physically with your hands and put it in the side or behind you for a moment and notice how your sensation changes. This works for many people. It like really affects how we encode things with our body and our mind. It's a great tool. So go to neutral and then you can think what would you like to have happened. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Well, thank you, Orestes, for being a guest on our show. I appreciate you so much and for sharing your story about fibromyalgia and hypnotherapy and all that you went through. It's been very enlightening. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Cleoni. Thank you too.
All right, and to all you resilient minds, until next time, please subscribe to us on all our platforms and don't forget to rate the show and leave a review for us on Apple Podcasts. Also, join the community of resilient minds and sign up for our monthly newsletter at cleonicrawford.com. Be sure to grab a copy of my book, The Music of My Life, on all Amazon marketplaces to get to know me better. If you can think of one person that will receive value from today's show or connect with Orestes' testimonial, please share it with them. Feel free to take a screenshot of this week's episode and the podcast and tag us on Instagram. You can tag myself at Only Cleoni or Resilient Mind 365 and today's guest on Facebook. And remember, mental health is not a death sentence. Despite your illness, you can strive, thrive, and live a life of abundance. Until next time, I'm Cleoni Crawford, and I'm signing off.